Hi, I'm Lizzy Kurtzer, your inner connection coach. Welcome to my little corner of the internet and welcome to my first YouTube video. I wanted to get on and introduce myself and share a little bit about what I'm about and what I'll be talking about and what you'll find here. I'm a life coach, I'm a consultant, and I am passionate about connection, belonging, talking about shame and the menstrual cycle. And you know what I'm an expert in is really helping women and menstruators particularly feel so deeply connected with themselves and have such a deep connection and relationship and such a deep sense of belonging with themselves that is the core and foundation that they move through life. Like it is that connection and relationship with themselves and that deep sense of belonging, like they just know they belong. That is where they live their life, know their joy, know their boundaries, pursue the things that they want in their life. And that's been my journey. You'll hear a lot about my journey along the way, but there was a point in my early 20s, whether it was my psychology degree, my journey up to this point, probably a combination of all of these things, that I had this moment. Like one, I think important thing to tell you is that I really suffered with shame and I had such a poor sense of self-worth. Like I didn't even know I was allowed to exist. I just felt so unworthy of anything. I think I even felt unworthy of breathing. But also, I'm sure like the influence of my psychology degree, I just had this moment where I realized I would never be enough. Like in this modern world where we are conditioned to believe like all these things, all these labels and all these things we have to do and have in order to be worthy. I had this moment where I realized I will never be enough and I will never have enough. It will never be enough to be worthy because there's always the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I just was like, I just call bullshit on it all. And I don't want to do that. Like, I think the real influence of like, I was going to say existentialism, but also like all of my degree just made me realize like what I need to find is that conditional worth, like so that I wake up and before I've even lifted my head off the pillow, I know I am worthy. And so that's what I started my journey on. I'm 37 now and I started that at like 22. And because I guess this is the thing, like for me, that's what I think is really cool. And that's what I think the flex is, right? Is that you know that you are worthy, full stop. That you have such a deep sense of connection and belonging, that you know that your belonging is infinite. And that, that no matter what, you are worthy. That's what I think is really cool. And no matter what you do or don't do, no matter what you have or don't have, no matter, like where you go or where you don't go, where you travel to or where you don't travel to, you are worthy. And so that doesn't mean that you can't have all these things in life, a home, a career, a family, travel, your own business, whatever the things are. You can still have all these things in your life and go after the things, wonderful. But underneath it all, no matter what happens, you are worthy. That's what I think is really cool. So that's what I talk about. I also talk about our relationship with our bodies, our connection to our bodies. I don't know a woman out there or menstruator out there who doesn't have a sticky relationship with their body. I do talk about things like the barriers to worth, things, the ways that we've been taught to exist, to belong. Like, what does it mean to belong? I talk about the menstrual cycle. I talk about what it's like to have a menstrual cycle in a relationship where two of you have a menstrual cycle. I think menstrual cycle awareness is like so important for women and menstruators. And I think it brings such a level of awareness and depth to your relationships. And then if you have a period and you're in a relationship with someone with a period, I honestly, this is like the wisdom and knowledge that you need. So I talk a lot about that. And then I also talk about periods in the workplace. I'm a firm believer that we need to be talking about periods in the workplace. One, to educate non-menstruators and men about periods and make sure organizations are set up for women and menstruators. But also I'm passionate about supporting women and menstruators and utilizing this knowledge in the workplace, because there are so many barriers for women in the workplace, and not knowing about our bodies and working against our bodies is just another one. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in leadership, self-awareness, keep an eye out for those. But yeah, that's probably enough for now. I hope you stick around, and I look forward to sharing more with you.